Howdy, howdy, howdy. See, I said it 4 times. Look at that. I'm on theme. Anyway, spoiler warning for the whole movie from here on out. You've been warned. Honestly, I feel like I don't have much to say about this one, and frankly, that feels weird in retrospect, because thinking back on it, there wasn't really anything that put me off of the movie. Even in the moment, I could tell that things were good in a clinical sense. Sure, there were moments of weakness here and there, but the same is true of every movie. What I think was lacking from Fantastic Four First Steps, I'm not sure I can truly put it into words. I'll try. But in truth, maybe I'm just a hater or broken or hollow or jaded or some other adjective that best describes my current relationship with blockbusters, which I know are trying to build brands. Because really, the film was well done. The core four are great in their roles. Vanessa Kirby and Pedro Pascal have a very good dynamic. Sue Storm and Reed felt very real to me. They seemed like an honest couple that were real people trying to make their very unusual, very difficult situation work. Eben was a good Ben Grimm. I enjoyed his more down-to-earth tendencies, as well as his friendship with Johnny. He, too, just felt super genuine to me, rather than like a movie character who we're supposed to feel bad for. Joseph Quinn was also pretty good as Human Torch, Johnny, and I think got to play a bit more with that character than someone like Chris Evans did in previous iterations. But beyond that, the setting, the costuming, the set design, the props, hair, and makeup all felt really, really polished and on theme in a way that just worked great visually. It was clean and excellent. Even the lighting on this retro-futuristic Earth felt more warm and welcoming when you compare it to the somewhat sterile, blue-leaning lights of most of the other Marvel films. Giacchino's score is technically a good film score as well. It uplifts the moments when it plays and serves to reinforce what we should already be feeling as an audience. It provides tension or familiarity or triumph or even fear. And I caught myself recognizing the main motif that he composed a handful of times throughout the film, and I grew more and more fond of it the more it came up. Further, I thought the action sequences were very dynamic, although they were sparse. The entire space chase is really excellent. It provides a lot of tension and gives each of the 4 team members a chance to shine outside of what you typically expect their skill set to be. It manages to give Reed moments of compassion while Sue's giving birth. It has Johnny be quick and a problem solver and thinking on his feet. It lets Ben show his skills as a pilot, and it even allows for Sue to flex her abilities as a leader and commander by ordering the group around, and overall just worked really, really well for me in that moment. The intensity of Julia Garner's Silver Surfer also does a lot to elevate this scene. She's like a serious powerhouse. I'm honestly barely familiar with the Fantastic Four lore, or the Four lore, the floor, whatever you want to call it, but I did find her scenes really good, visually and emotionally. In fact, my favorite scene in the entire film is the confrontation that she has with Johnny on her second visit to Earth. It makes Johnny pretty multi-dimensional, allows him to show off some of his talent and capabilities as a scientist, how the movie describes him, as well as humanizes the Silver Surfer. It gives us a lot of raw emotions that feel real and kind of pent up and flooding out for the Surfer, and this is really powerful. And to be honest, this is the one moment that I really felt invested in the entire conflict and the characters. And if I had to explain why it was only that one moment that I felt this way, I have to say it may be because the movie didn't really go anywhere emotionally for its core characters. Johnny and Reed and Susan and Ben don't really change as people or as a group in terms of how they relate to and interact with one another. Sure, we add Franklin to the mix, but he's more of a plot device than a character in this film. And I mean that with no disrespect to the Omnipotent Kid, who I'm sure will also be the plot device of Avengers Doomsday. Anyway, really, I'm not sure what the point of this movie was from a character perspective, or really in a general sense, actually. Beyond, like, obviously making Disney money, does it exist solely to set us up for Doomsday? Because as an entry in a series or a franchise, it doesn't really give us any footing or sense of direction as to what we should be expecting in the next installment from Marvel or from the Fantastic Four. If it literally only exists to establish the Fantastic Four as characters, I don't really think that's enough. Because, newsflash, that's what every movie does. It gives you characters by nature of it existing. That's, it kind of came with the fact that it's a movie. Perhaps I'm asking too much here, but I'd like to see those characters have meaningful experiences that fundamentally alter them as people or change the ways they consider their lives and their world. I don't think I really got that with Fantastic Four First Steps. There were glimpses of it, moments of tension and internal struggle. Reed and Sue arguing about Reed even considering Franklin's sacrifice as an option. Reed reckoning with the idea that maybe there is a problem he just can't put his mind to and solve outright. Ben having a moment of reflection, wondering what kind of life he might be capable of leading as he looks longingly at whatever the name of Natasha Lyonne's character is. And even Johnny's translation subplot contains hints of a character arc for him. And that one gets the closest of any meaningful resolution, but we don't get to really see or experience it. We get Silver Surfer reaching her emotional breaking point, blasting off into space, and then coming back in for literally 5 seconds to save Johnny's ass at the very end. What is arguably the most interesting emotional development and journey for any of the cast of characters does not even happen or get really resolved on screen. That doesn't feel fantastic for a movie-going audience, let me tell you. Honestly, all the ideas that the characters individually explore with their characterizations throughout the film play more like an episode of a TV show than they do a movie. There's not really a set conclusion, a set here to there for their emotional and cognitive states through the film. There's something that maybe hints at an inkling of a change they might go through later down the line, or maybe have them take one step in a certain direction, but they don't get any conclusive change where we need to say this was the moment in time we needed to be with them because this is how they fundamentally changed and were forever altered through that moment in time. That's a bit rambly, but that's kind of how I define emotional satisfaction in relation to a character in a film. So I'm unsatisfied, I suppose. I'm left without much of a desire to rewatch or mull over or really even keep writing this review. There wasn't really a moment of emotional resonance in the movie for me to latch onto or remember or consider fondly whenever someone brings up this movie. The biggest moment was just seeing the backside of Robert Downey Jr. in a cloak while he held an MF Doom mask. And he didn't even do anything in the movie except aura farm in front of a child. Because obviously they couldn't blow that load quite yet. Probably because the casting decision isn't actually going to work on screen. Or maybe even more likely than that is because no one at Marvel Studios has written any lines for Doctor Doom yet, apparently. Anyway, I guess I'm rating Fantastic Four 3 out of 5 stars. I didn't particularly like it or dislike it. It was just a lot of stuff. Stuff that I know on a technical level is very well done, but just doesn't really do it for me personally. There were moments, but there was nothing I feel very strongly about in one way or another. The 10 or 15 minutes of genuine interest it pulled out of me were not enough to make up for the rest of the movie, in my honest opinion. And for a movie centered around Marvel's first family, I thought it struggled to make me feel like I was really part of this family and on their journey with them. Rather, I was simply an observer, watching the latest of their adventures in a removed sort of way, like I might tune into a weekly television series. I was a watcher, if you will. Haha. So I'd say go see this movie if you're a fan of the characters or if you want to see a Galactus that isn't a giant cloud. Honestly, I'm not sure you really need to for any other reason. It doesn't even seem particularly required for any future MCU setup. Literally just watch the trailer and look at some tweet online about the Doom casting and you get the gist of it. That's all, I guess. Not sure what's next on tap. August is pretty wide open for me, but hopefully I'll find something to discuss, either good or bad, and just be a little bit more impassioned about it. Until next time.